What range of emotions have you felt over the last couple days?
I can't even explain it. It's just been amazing. It's just I'm so excited. I'm so appreciative. I know that's not really an emotion, but it's just a feeling, I guess. And just basketball's meant so much to me. Relationships have meant everything to me. And the reason I'm here today is because of basketball and relationships. So excited about the future. And I said a while ago in the press conference, I've had opportunities since I was at Ranger College. We did a lot. We had a lot of success
Sure.
over there, and with success brings opportunities. And we had these opportunities, didn't really take them. Just wasn't the right one at the right time. Tarleton State University right now, and Billy Gillispie, right time, right spot.
Coach, you're from Grayford. We've talked about that about an hour from here, and we actually both have Lone Star FFA degrees, so a couple old FFAers now in the sports world here. But you do have a unique background, being from this area and coming up through agriculture and playing basketball in this area. How does that kind of equip you to be the head coach here?
Well, when you're from Grayford, Texas, nobody gives you anything. That's for sure. And you have to work from a very, very early age. That's the way it used to be, and it's probably not quite as much as it is now. But I came up and I had to work. If I wanted any money, I had to work. I was very fortunate to have great parents, and they moved around a lot, but I always found them. And that was supposed to be funny, but obviously it wasn't. But
my mind's obviously in a
yeah.
You laugh at my joke, no?
Yeah, but no, I had great parents. I had a great upbringing. Grayford is a basketball community till this day. They still don't play anything but basketball. They play other sports, but they don't play football, and that's king in Texas. But it's really developed a lot of really great coaches. As a matter of fact, probably the worst coach there is in Grayford.
Yeah.
Samantha Mara, Skip Townsend, Bob Derryberry. I mean, my sister was a great one, and so there's a lot of really great coaches because you come up living basketball, and that's just a little hard-working town. Stephenville's become a really big, hard-working town, and there's a lot of similarities in it. Really, really hard-working community, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
You know, for a basketball junkie like myself, you've been able to be the head coach at places like UTEP and Texas A&M, Reed Arena, Kentucky, but you're going to coach here at Wisdom Gym. What makes, even though you've been at those other places, what makes this place special?
Well, I mean, I was going to say something a while ago, and I'll say it now. I mean, I was going to tell everybody to go buy their season tickets. The season tickets have been sold out here for a long time.
That's right.
And there's a waiting list for a long time. And so when I've had the great fortune of having a lot of great coaching jobs, but this job is in as good a position as any job I've taken over, maybe better, because they've won 693 games in the last 32 years under the leadership of Coach Reisman and Chris and their entire family. And so what they put into it's just been amazing. They've done it at a different level. We have to take a leap up to Division I now in the WAC, and that'll be a challenge, but it's not something that we can't do. And so I can't wait to see Wisdom filled up. Like, like you watch games on TV, you see places that play in similar teams that play in similar places like St. Mary's and some of the East Coast places, and just because something's huge and expansive doesn't make it great. I love small settings, and it's going to be a small setting. It'll be the hottest ticket in town, and so people are really going to get back to really. It's going to be an event here, and it's going to be a fun event for everyone to attend.
It kind of reminds you of a Cameron indoor field house. I mean, when you get 3,000 people in Wisdom Gym, that place is rocking.
No question about it. And when we were lucky when we went to UTEP, we filled the gym up. A&M filled it up. Kentucky's going to fill it up no matter what happens. and just some other places, even Ranger College. Once we started winning, the community got behind us, and we started winning the very first game, by the way. So,
Yeah.
we went from. They won 2 games before we got there, and we won our first 32. And so we started winning then, and people wanted to come, and we filled our gym up over there. It was small, but it was a major home court advantage. They've had a major home court advantage here at Tarleton for a long time, and we'll try to build upon that.
All right, well, that's going to do it for my questions. We're going to move into the media portion of today's Q&A with the new head men's basketball coach at Tarleton, Billy Gillispie. And, Coach, we'll start with a few questions from Drew Davison with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. First question is, what drew you to Tarleton?
There's just so many great things happening at Tarleton right now. New president coming in, and no disrespect to the old president, I didn't mean it like that, but
Sure.
but I've never seen anyone have vision and just excitement, and there's just something about it. You walk on this campus right now, there's something about the feel that you get. The people are all excited. It's not like a ho-hum situation. It's obviously grown. Back when I was coming up, trying to play in Wisdom Gym in the regional tournament, is probably 2,500, 3,000 students. Now there's 13,200. They're just being so progressive, and they have huge goals in mind to become the premier, a regional, comprehensive university.
That's impressive that you already got that down, Coach.
No, I mean,
I can't say that on a normal day.
No, I mean it's great, but that's the vision of Dr.
Sure.
Hurley, and he'll make it happen. Some people say some things, and it doesn't really ever. It's just saying stuff.
That's
guy,
usually me. Yeah.
Hey, well, that's what I've heard. But from what I've heard about Dr. Hurley and just what I've witnessed in the small amount of time, whatever he wants to accomplish, I think he will. And so, everything's about timing. Anything successful is about timing, whether it's in business, relationships, or whatever. I just think this is the perfect time to be at Tarleton.
Second question from Drew with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. What sort of obstacles do you expect to face, especially from the recruiting standpoint, without being eligible for the NCAA tournament until 24-25?
Well, we'll have plenty of information. I've already done my homework on that, and there's been 227 teams that haven't made the NCAA tournament in the last 3 years, and so Tarleton is tied with those. And even though we didn't qualify because we're Division II, and in Texas there's only 11 out of the 23 teams that have made the tournament in the last 3 tournaments, and so people are going to be saying that, but believe me, we got a lot of ammunition. The one great thing, or there's several great things, we're going to be able to play in the conference tournament. And so a lot of times when they're going through the transitional phase, the teams aren't allowed to play in the conference tournament. We can play in the conference tournament. We could win the conference. We could play in the NIT. We could play in the other tournaments that they have in postseason. So it's the NCAA tournament is the ultimate goal for everyone, because to win the biggest prize, the big championship, the one everyone wants to cut the nets down, that's the one you want to be in. But not too many teams get to do that, and so we'll be playing for postseason, just a different tournament.
Yeah, and I was going to say that WAC tournament's out in Las Vegas, and if Tarleton's able to play in it, which it sounds like they are going to be, that's got to be a big recruiting advantage. Oh,
no question about it. Everybody likes to go to Vegas, and it's it's just, and again, when you talk about energy, it's an energetic town, and so we're looking forward to it. We're not worried about any obstacles that we have. We'll handle them, and we'll be able to sell the dream. I've coached about 135 pros, players especially in this era. They want to be able to play professionally. Every single one of them that comes to a school as good as Tarleton, they want to have a career in basketball. And so we've been able to coach and recruit over 30 NBA players and over 105 other players that didn't make the NBA but made a career out of it. And so they'll come here more for everybody wants to play in the tournament and win it.
Sure.
But a secondary thing is how they can be developed as far as making a career out of basketball.
Final question, Coach, from Drew. What's a realistic expectation for this program to make the transition for D1 and be competitive as early as year 1, or will it take 2 or 3 years?
I've never been a guy that, I've never really been a guy that had a long-term plan. I used to coach cross country in high school, and I'd tell them, start out as fast as you can and then gradually increase your speed. And that's the way we've done it.
It was tough for some of us.
Yeah, it's tough for anybody. But, when we I've kind of been a victim of our own success in that regard. We had the biggest turnaround in college basketball history at UTEP. Texas A&M, we had the biggest college, turnaround in college basketball that year. Ranger College we had a turnaround that will never be surpassed, because they can't play enough games anymore unless they start playing 40 games instead of 30. And so we've been able to do some things very, very, very quickly. It doesn't always happen like that. We're going to try to win every single game starting with the first one.
And as a follow-up to that, Coach, you took over programs that were not in the best shape in UTEP, Texas A&M, Ranger College, even at Kentucky. But here, you're taking over a program that's won a lot of games. How does that change things?
It changes things dramatically. Every single job I've taken was a hard one. Even in high school, they were extremely hard. We had a great amount of success very early. Kentucky's one of the best basketball programs in the world, no question about it. But at the time we took it over, it needed a lot of work. And when we went to Texas Tech, it needed a lot of work. And those are great basketball programs. But no one in the history of basketball has ever taken on as many challenges as far as taking over jobs. I like that. It's a real challenge to me. It's a challenge here. But as far as winning 693 games in the last 32 years, that's a program that's in pretty good shape. And the only question about Tarleton basketball is going from Division II to Division I. It's not about sustained success. It's not about community support. It's not about a home court advantage. It's not about anything. Being able to recruit great players. They've done it all. They've done all that for the last 32 years. We'll be able to continue that. We just have to do it at the Division I level.
Next questions, Coach, will come from Brad Townsend, a guy you know pretty well at the Dallas Morning News. And first question is, you have a track record of working long hours. I know a lot of people call you a gym rat. Brad says that's a trait that seems to run in your family. Since your return to coaching after your kidney transplant, have you tried to strike a better work-personal balance?
Maybe a little bit. It's easier said than done. You're wired a certain way, and I was fortunate enough to be sitting here today because Erica Downey gave me a new lease on life. She just by the grace of God, I don't know why she would do it, but she did. And I would encourage anyone else to be a kidney donor if they have the ability to do so. It's changed my life. She's changed a lot of other people's lives. Her story has inspired a lot of people to become donors, and so I always try to talk about, hey, if you can be a donor, be a donor. And she's having a fantastic life with one kidney, and I'm having a much better life with one kidney. But as far as working, try to work smarter. But most importantly, the biggest change, when you're sitting there in a hospital bed, that's not fun for anybody. But when they ask you, do you have a religious preference, and do you have a will, then that does change your perspective on life a little bit, and it's something that you don't forget on very often. And so my problem is always, I never felt bad, so I didn't like to take medicine, and so my blood pressure really messed my kidneys up. But I won't be missing any more doses of medication that I'll have to take for the rest of my life. But I eat better. I've always exercised. It's you can't tell it right now, but no,
I heard you're jogging these days. So.
Yeah, I've been an avid jogger for a long time. That's one of the things I miss the most around this kidney transplant thing. But getting back to it and makes me feel good and makes me work better and everything else. But no matter if it's me, it's our assistant coaches, it's our players or whatever, we're going to try to outwork people.
Final question from Brad. The college and pro games have in recent years evolved into an increased possession, higher scoring style. Your Ranger college teams were obviously successful. In what ways, if any, have you changed your coaching philosophies?
You just have to adjust with the times, not only in the way you play, but, it's a different world in coaching players these days. And so, it's not a fire and brimstone society anymore. And so you have to adjust as things go on. We're always going to coach them hard and love them harder. It's what we've always done, and that's not perfect for everybody, but you try to make a difference in people's lives, and I know that we made a major impact in turning a lot of young men into grown men. So I'm very proud of that. But as far as the style of play, no matter how fast it is or how slow it is, really smart coaches try to get more than one shot per possession. So when you talk about a philosophy, that's the way we'll do. It may be 90 points a game, it may be 80 points a game, maybe 76 points a game or whatever. But you always want to have one or more shot possession on offense. That means that you're taking good shots, you're not turning the ball over, you get into the foul line and all those kind of things. And then on defense, you want to let your opponent have one or less shots per possession. On offense, you want to get offensive rebounds as well. You want to limit your opponent to one or less shots, and that means you're taking away the ball from them. You're not giving up second chance opportunities, and you're making them take tough shots. And so that's a philosophy. It may be really fast, or it may just be real fast. But we'll be. I guarantee you we'll be burning a lot of calories when we play. Nobody's going to play harder than us.
I have a feeling my mouth's going to be going like this during the broadcast. Thanks, Brad. And our next questions come from Mark Wilson with the Stephenville Empire Tribune. First question is, what positive aspects of the current group of returning players here at Tarleton stands out the most from what you know so far?
I saw them play 3 times in person this year. I brought over some guys to watch that they have been recruiting a little bit, and so and it's close, and we were off that day or whatever, and so I don't have a great feel for them. I have a pretty good feel for them. I think that they had an athletic group. I think that they were kind of young in some spots. They had 4 seniors, but as far as the guys that will be coming back, I think there's 3 or 4 guys that should be tremendous pieces in making a transition to Division I. And so as we go through that evaluation process, for a lot of it, it has a lot to do with academics. It has a lot to do with, basketball. It has a lot to do with a lot of things when you evaluate players. And so that evaluation phase has already started, but it'll get real thorough here in a real short period.
This next question from Mark, I think I know the answer because I've been around you the last couple of days, but I'll ask it anyways. Given your history of being an excellent recruiter, what are your short-term and long-term goals for this basketball program?
Well, if you think you know everything, go ahead and answer.
I was going to say, one day at a time, and we want to win right now.
That's right. Well, you're right. You're right. No, if the sooner you have success, and you don't do it at the expense of everything, and for people to think that we're going to go in there and start winning every game, it's going to be tough, and conference is going to be extremely tough, and the preseason schedule will be something that they haven't probably played here before because of the affiliation of Division II to Division I. They've played really hard teams, but we're probably going to play harder teams. We'll be bringing teams in conference and out of conference that they haven't been able to get here to come to Stephenville because they didn't want to get beat.
Yeah.
When I was at Texas A&M, I think Lon called me up before and said, "Hey, you want to play an exhibition game?" I said, "No." And
smart decision, right?
Yeah, no, because he just a couple nights ago played Baylor and beat them. About a week ago played TCU and beat them. And there's certain guys that you don't want to play. You lose enough in a regular season in Division I. You definitely don't want to lose exhibition games and get your season off to a bad start.
It can cost you your job.
No question. And if you play Lon and Chris Reisman, you had a really good chance of getting beat. But it's not going to happen overnight. Just go in there and win every game in Division I. But we will recruit good players. We'll try to do it as soon as we can. We're going to put a product out there that's going to be fun to watch. We're going to create a lot of excitement on this campus and in this community, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But there's going to be growing phases, and just hope that people will stick with you through those phases.
Kind of a follow-up I have to Mark's question, Coach, is you've seen programs using Incarnate Word as an example. They were in the Lone Star. I think they left in 2013. The first year they're in Division I, they beat Nebraska at Nebraska. What kind of exposure does that bring to a university?
Oh, that's great. You can't buy it. I mean, because all the games are on TV, I bet that game is probably on the Big Ten Network. And there's no school in America, I'm talking about the absolute richest schools, that can afford to pay for 2 hours straight of advertisement. It's impossible, and that's what you get with a basketball game. And so it's an amazing deal when you get a chance to get that kind of exposure and you win.
Yeah.
And but I doubt if Nebraska has played Incarnate Word again.
I think they have, yeah.
Even Incarnate Word,
they were on the do not play list.
No question about it. I remember when that happened. There was Coach Burmeister, who's not coaching there anymore.
That's right.
But I remember when that happened, and that's why basketball is such a great game. On any given day, anything can happen, and we're so missing March Madness. It would just be finishing up now. I mean, it's just so sad, but I mean, this coronavirus is so serious, and so many people have been affected, and we're all continuously being affected. We got to get it under control.
Absolutely.
But we're in the best country in the world to get it done. We got the smartest people, and we got the most determined people, and we got you never say die kind of mentality in the United States. We'll get it knocked out, but everybody wants it to happen as soon as possible. But March Madness is something that I wish that our team at Ranger, we qualified for the national tournament again, and I would love to have had an opportunity. I thought we could win the national championship, and didn't get an opportunity to play. But I don't even know what your question was.
That's
at the
all right.
start.
We're having fun,
Just-
and that's all
just
that
kinda
matters.
rambled
Yeah, I
on.
remember we were going on a trip that year. The men's basketball team. We were in Love Field, and we were sitting there watching the TV, and it just pops up, Sports Center alert. Incarnate Word beats Nebraska, and then they started talking about how Nebraska would charter to games, and Incarnate Word was on Southwest Airlines, and the people were taking pictures with them on the way home.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they probably-
those guys that beat Nebraska.
They probably rode a bus up there, but that's just part of making that transition. The team that will study in this particular area that has made the transition the best is Abilene Christian. Joe Golding, what he's done over there has been unbelievable, and he and his staff they didn't have much going for them now, and they have stuck it out. And Joe's one of the best coaches in the country. Doesn't get enough recognition because their league doesn't get any exposure that we're talking about. But man alive, have they done a good job? They've done a fantastic job, and they're a Division I team that nobody wants to play now.
Absolutely. Final question from Mark Wilson, Coach. Through all of your career highlights, is there one moment that stands out as the happiest or most emotional or most satisfying?
Those are three or four different categories there, but yeah, this is a very emotional time right now, and it's a very satisfying thing because it hasn't come easy. It hadn't. Like I said, I've had opportunities, but it wasn't the right opportunity. I've had so many people try to help me and help me get back to this point, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity that Dr. Hurley and Chancellor Sharp and Lon Reisman are taking, and I'm not going to let them down as the leader. But yeah, it's a lot of things. There's some big games. I've been involved in so many big games. One of the biggest games I ever played in was as a high school coach, or coaching as a high school coach, and we beat a team that had beaten us 4 times, and to get to the state tournament in Austin, which is every high school coach's dream. Played in San Antonio now. The biggest shot I was involved with is AC Law making a shot at Kansas and at home against Texas, and he made a bunch of shots.
He did.
And what a great player he was. And the Ranger College teams, they just never would quit. And I just had so many great memories at all levels. And all of them don't really have to be a win. Most of them are wins, but I've just been involved with so many great moments. The best moments, as I mentioned in the press conference, are when you get a phone call from a former player, and it happens like on a daily basis right now. There's 100 of them that have called or texted, just so proud for me to have another opportunity. But they're the reason I'm standing here today, and because of the work and the effort and the sacrifice that they made for the schools they were playing at. Those are the greatest absolute moments you could ever have as a coach, no matter what trophies you've won, no matter what nets you've cut down.
Yeah, as a coach, there's so many peaks and valleys. I know, like here at Tarleton, there's one year we lose in the Sweet 16 to go to the Elite 8 on a buzzer beater. Actually, absolutely a deflating game. And then we've won those championships here. And to enjoy the peaks, don't you kind of have to be in those valleys sometimes?
Well, you don't want to, but yeah, but it makes the peaks even feel better. It doesn't matter. So in a personal situation, I've definitely had some. I've had so many peaks, but there's been some valleys associated with the Billy Gillispie too, and whether it was health or whether it was bad decisions by me. And so, hey, you got to enjoy life. That's the way I'm looking so much forward to coaching here at Tarleton. Because there was so much of my career where I coached happy, and I would see people and they'd say, "You're the coach that's always got a smile on his face on the sideline," and we were winning a lot of times when I had a smile. But I think that when I was I think because of being a victim of our success, turning around things so fast, I might have approached the last 2 Division I jobs a little bit different. Because I just felt so much pressure myself. We got to win every game. We got to win the national championship in Kentucky. We got to get this Texas Tech thing turned around immediately. And I think I probably put too much pressure on myself. Probably put too much pressure on our staff to perform it, and probably put too much pressure on the players because of the success that we had. But that's not going to make us try to slow down any. But we're going to learn from it and try to be better.
Next questions are from newspaper pretty close to Grayford, the Mineral Wells Index. Russell
Yeah.
Huffman's
Yeah.
the sports editor.
Yeah.
His first question is, did you ever imagine coaching college basketball so close to Grayford?
Not really, but I don't know. I never was a guy that had a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever. And the people that know me said, you never had a 5-minute plan. You just go as fast as you can for that particular moment, and then see what happens next. But what an honor. You know, there's again a lot of people that have reached out that have been Billy Gillispie fans from this immediate area, and they're so excited about having an opportunity to see our teams play and not having to fly to Kentucky or drive to Texas Tech or drive to Texas A&M or whatever.
Or El Paso, which is probably farther than Kentucky.
Yeah, they've got to. Yeah, it probably is further than Kentucky, but you know, it'll still be a drive, but it'll be a short drive, and we'll have a lot of supporters. So there's going to be so many great things about this happening.
Second question from Russell is, with the current situation going on in the world and in our country, what's your advice to high school athletes looking to promote themselves to college coaches?
It's a tough deal right now in recruiting, especially for the seniors. Someone was telling me that one of the vice presidents at Ranger was saying she's got a high school senior daughter, and so she was talking about those kids were born right about the time of 9/11. They've had a lot of things happen in their lifetime. I mean, they get their senior year taken away from them. So look, there's no prom, there's no graduation probably. They didn't get to finish sports, and so many people they didn't probably get to finish. If they're a singer, they didn't get to do their choir performance. They've had a lot of stuff. That's tough, and so I would think because if you're an athlete, you're talking about okay, well. Like right now, if you're a senior that's not an athlete, you're going on campus visits. You're so excited about where you're going to be the next 4 years of your life. You can't do it now, and so I have a lot of sympathy for those kids. As far as sports, you know, no matter what the association is, NAIA, Division I, Division II, Division III, junior college, you can't go see those kids. Those kids can't come to your campus. And so it's a time that they've never had it like that before in sports. And so it's a really different time. And as we, you know, this pandemic keeps pushing us, you know, we're trying to figure it out how to just knock this thing out and let's have no one else affected, and definitely don't want to have anyone lose their life again. But they just keep, with those safeguards, they're pushing it out, to where I would think that just so many of those kids you're talking about are probably going to panic if they haven't already, they're going to panic. And, you know, panic always makes people make poor decisions. And so I feel real sorry for them to not be able to go through a normal process of choosing a school.
It's uncharted waters for coaches as well. I mean,
no question.
You take this job at Tarleton State, you can't get out and hit the recruiting trail. How does that change your, I don't want to say philosophy, but your strategy moving forward?
Well, it helps. It really helps. It never helps when you can't see the players play. But we've watched a lot of players. We've identified a lot of players. We'll recruit some guys that our team at Ranger played against, and we saw them firsthand. Sometimes too good firsthand, but you know, we'll benefit because of relationship recruiting. A lot of people will try to help us. They've already tried to do that. One of the biggest things that it affects when you have a new coach coming in is I would have already met with the returning players. I would have met with those guys last night face to face. You can't do that. I've talked to some of them on the phone and trying to get a hold of the rest of them. The other thing is anytime you want to leave a spot, you want to leave the right way. And so like even going to talk to the president at Ranger College, you know, which is the thing you're supposed to do if you're going to make a change. That was difficult. And then you can't get your players together because a lot of them had already gone home because they're doing online. And so those are things that, you know, it's not a normal job. Coaching is not a normal job, but coaching changes at this time really, I mean, but going back to the players, you just feel for them. Like a bunch of our guys at Ranger College, they were getting recruited, but last year we had 9 guys go to Division I off our team.
Wow.
The really reason they got recruited last year is because they did so well in the national tournament. That's where the most recruitment takes place at that level. And so they had that opportunity taken away from them. And so anytime you can be face-to-face in any relationship situation, it's going to benefit you, and that's all been taken away from not only the coaches, but also the players.
Yeah, definitely a difficult situation, and one that, talking about trying to go out at Ranger the right way, I mean, there's no script for this. It's not a handbook we can just open up and say, oh, this is, I mean, it just kind of is what it is. I know that saying's used a lot. We've got one more, thanks to Russell for sending in a couple questions. We have one more question from members of the media coach. It's from Skylar Dixon with the Associated Press. It said, question is, with your return to Division I after with that 1 year at Texas Tech, in retrospect, did you maybe get back into Division I coaching too soon? And what are some of the things you would have done differently then that you'll do differently now?
I mentioned some of those things. You know, we were probably victims of our own success, and we won't take it any slower, but we'll probably be a lot smarter, and you know, not put as much pressure on myself and our staff and the players, and because this time I don't feel like, okay, well, we got to knock it out of the park this year and be in the Final Four, and believe me, they'll see our best, believe me, but it'll just be, there won't be any less energy expended. It'll be just a more efficient way to do it, and so we'll make those adjustments. And I forget what the first part of his question was.
I did too.
Yeah.
I'll go back and look.
It was a good
did
question.
you maybe go back to, did you maybe get back into the Division I coaching at Texas Tech a little bit too early after Kentucky?
I don't think so. Maybe so. I had a lot of. I don't think so. When we went out there, it needed a lot of work, and so I don't think it was too soon. Even though I'd had a lot of personal stuff with my mother passing and then losing a nephew in a drowning accident. It was very, very difficult times, but I don't think so. It was just more so a matter of their situation at the time, and you know, just I could have done a lot better. You know, I always look at it like, okay, well, whose fault was it? It's always mine. If I'm involved, I'm taking the blame for it, and no matter what happened and whatever, if I'm the basketball coach and we didn't win enough, or you know, I couldn't help because I got sick. You know, but you know, we didn't win enough the first game when I wasn't diagnosed as being sick. So anytime we don't win a game, it's my fault. But I don't think we went in too soon, no.
What is it about Billy Gillispie that just kind of, I mean, you Google your name, and after this, there's hundreds of news organizations and media members that have picked up on your story. We talk about this comeback story and this redemption theme. What is it about Billy Gillispie that kind of attracts people to you?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because
I'm trying to get away from you right now.
Yeah, well, you need to, but I don't know what it is, but there's something, and I don't mean that in a bragging type way. I think that I've treated people really, really, really well over my lifetime, and we all make mistakes in that regard, but I think I've treated them really well. I think there's some kind of I don't know, intrigue about me. Maybe it's because of the turnarounds we did. Maybe it's because of I think that I'm pretty humble. You know, I don't think I'm very, very arrogant. Believe me, I'm confident. But I think I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's. But there seems to be an intrigue about what's this guy doing. You know, and maybe it's because I coach at Kentucky, or maybe it's I don't know what it is, or maybe it's because a lot of it now is, hey, here's a guy right here that he's got knocked down a few times, and I think that's a lot of intrigue now. I think he's been knocked down a few times physically and otherwise, and he just will not stop. He won't quit, and people love a comeback story. And I think there's so many people that have 100% confidence we'll knock this thing out of the park, and so. But there's always been this intrigue. But I do think I've developed so many friends, you know, in and out of basketball over the years, and I think that I've pulled for them, and I really believe that a lot of people, where they're in the, you know, like I've got so many friends in the media. They've been so good. If we play bad, they got to write a story. That's their job.
That's right.
But I think we've always been respectful to them and tried to develop those relationships. I mean, it's amazing to me that I've got 5 basketball officials last night that were expressing so much joy and happiness that we're going to be back. Now, during the game, they might not wish it.
That's right.
But you know, it's just been fun. You know, the game is the game, and You get an opportunity to make a difference in young people's lives on a daily basis. There can't be a better job than that. And so I don't know. It's just, but I do believe I've been blessed with people having an intrigue about what we're doing and really kind of genuinely, not just saying things. I really believe that people genuinely pull for me.
Coach, we've talked a lot about a lot of things today, but one thing that hasn't come up is your coaching staff, and you've got to bring in at least 3 assistants. And I've never been a coach, but I'd imagine that'll happen in the next couple of weeks. Talk about what you're looking for when you build out that staff.
Yeah, you're looking for professionals. You're looking for people that have a high ceiling. It may be a young person that doesn't have a lot of experience, but you just know that they're going to be great based on watching them and observing them, getting great input from other people that you trust. You're looking for a professional. Maybe we'll have some veteran presence. I think it's very important for us to have some Division I experience, because I think that the more people we have on this Tarleton State campus, it's going to be a difficult transition, and there's so many great people here, but they haven't had a great deal of experience. That's not anyone's fault, but they've been the best there is in Division II, and they'll adjust very quickly. But I think it's probably important to have some people that have Division I experience as well. We've had I couldn't tell you 200 or 300 people text me wanting to try to come over here
Get
and
an
help
interview,
us.
yeah.
And that's one thing. I think I'm a little bit different. I get this all the time. We got a guy right now that's recruiting one of our players at Ranger College, and he said, "Hey, Coach, back when you were at Texas A&M or Texas Tech or somewhere, you didn't know me," and I sent in a blind resume, and he said, "I knew I had no shot, because people have their staffs ready," and so, but he's really become a really good coach in the profession. I've heard this many times, and he said, "You didn't know me, but you called me back, and told me you were going to hire someone else. You left a message or talked to me," and I've had so many people. It's a pain in the butt to do that, but I really do think it means a lot to the people. If you ever have sent in a resume and didn't get a call back, it made you feel a certain way, even though there's no obligation on anyone's part. But it's something I've always done. I'll continue to do it. And so you never know who you might find. You never know. Sometime we'll do part of our staff very quickly. I'll be patient on part of the staff too, because you never know who might be available. And we owe it to Tarleton. We owe it to the basketball program. We owe it to the community. We owe it to the state. We owe it to the WAC. We owe it, to get the absolute best basketball coaches we can to help us make the adjustment to Division I. We'll get a really good staff.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that staff built out here in the future. And I think you bring up a good point. It's that old saying: you can't if you don't do the small things well, you'll never do the big things well.
That's right.
And trust me, I've put in a lot of resumes in my life and never got a call back.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
At least I know Billy G would call me back.
Yeah, I would. It might take a little bit, but it always. I've had that happen so many times, and it makes you really feel good. And even though when you're going through when everything was paper, a stack of things that big, resumes that big, and you don't really have time to do it as you move in. You got so many things to do when you take over a new program, but it pays dividends. And a guy one time said, "Hey, you did this. You don't remember this. You didn't know me. You call me back. Hey, I'm a high school coach. I want my guy to come play for you." And so that's not the reason you do it. You do it
Sure.
out of the kindness of your heart, just having a feeling for other people.
Coach, outside of basketball, what are the kind of things that Coach Gillispie is passionate about?
I don't know.
Nothing?
No.
I know you're all basketball, but do you play golf?
I love basketball. I played golf probably 5.5 years ago was the last time. I've got to have a shoulder replacement. I've been needing a shoulder replacement for about 10 years, and just really hadn't gotten around to it yet. But Dr. Evans here in town put me through the MRI, and so I've been kind of worried about him. He was going to be the surgeon. No, I'm kidding. He's a great
guy.
Yeah, he's great. But I used to like to play golf. After I got fired at Kentucky, I said, okay, I'm going to retire and I'm going to play golf all the time. And I got to be pretty good at it. And I knew how to bet on the first tee, so I was pretty good at it. But anyway, after a while, you know, you're playing, but all your friends are working.
Yeah,
You know, they're
that's
still
right.
working. So you can't find anybody to
They
play
said,
with.
Billy, I can't play every day.
Yeah, and so, and then you play, but the last time I played was at Miramont, a great golf course in College Station. Played with a guy named Jim Wilson. He's a former Board of Regent guy at Texas A&M, and we won the member guest tournament. And so I said, shoot, if we're the best already, why do I need to keep playing?
Yeah, hang it up.
And by the way, Jim plays in that tournament every year. He never won before, and he never won after.
since.
So
You were the
Jim,
common denominator in that equation.
I hope that Jim knows that I said that, even though I've already said it to him 100 times. But I like playing golf. I like people say, well, what do you want to do if I'm hanging around with some people or whatever? I enjoy everything, but I just don't. I'm not a fisherman. But if we're going fishing, I'll enjoy it. If whatever, I'll do it. I love sports. I love college football games. I love Major League Baseball. If I had to say I had a passion, when I wasn't coaching, I'd go to 40 or 50 Ranger games a year. I love the Rangers. I can't stand the Astros. And
I like this guy already.
No, and they, it's too bad that they had to use trash cans.
Yeah, that's right. I can't wait to see the new stadium. I know we're getting off topic here, but
Yeah.
Watching a Ranger game in AC is going to be kind of nice.
Yeah, but I don't. That's you.
You're an old school?
I'd rather sit
Okay.
down this.
Okay.
We had the best stadium in the world.
It was beautiful. Yeah, I love the old
It
stadium.
was great.
Yeah.
No, it's an exciting time to be able to sit in there and climate controlled. It'll be real special.
Speaking of climate control, what do you think about this new football stadium here at Tarleton?
It's unbelievable. I remember. Here's what I would think about the Tarleton football stadium is the other side, because that's what it had been for so long, and that's a nice visitor side. But when you see what Tarleton has been able to do in so many areas, but you mentioned the football with the suites up here, with this area out here, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, the growth over here is off the charts, and they're doing a new deal with the field house where the players, I mean, they're doing all kinds of stuff and that shows the kind of leadership they've had, and they will continue to have, and the resources that they have. It is a booming place right now, so it's a good time to be at Tarleton.
I've taken up probably too much of your time. I know your to-do list right now is, get my access card working, get my phone working, get it in my office, call my. So I'll end it with one final question, Coach. There's a lot of fans, alumnus, and supporters watching this interview. What's your message to them?
Let's have some fun. It's going to be a good ride. We will honor the legacy of Lon and Chris Reisman, the entire family. Can't forget about Lon's wife. Believe me, she's probably put in as much hard work, and that's the wife always gets forgotten, and his family. But we will honor that legacy. We'll try to build upon that legacy at a different level, and it's going to take the support of all the fans, every student that we have here. We will be supporting every other sport. We'll be a fan when they're playing. We play September 5th at Huntsville. I'll be right there pulling for Tarleton when they play at Sam Houston State in our first football game. Our players will be in the community. They won't be viewed as paid gladiators. They will be viewed as human beings, and that'll be a really great part of this community and this campus. And it'll be a lot of fun. But it takes. You can't do it when you have the coach is not the one that can do it. The staff is not the one. It can't be even the coach, the staff, and the players. It has to be everybody involved. And they have had unbelievable support here. And this community is a sport. I mean, they've had so much success. The high school areas, I mean, they win. It's a community of winners, and they got a pretty supreme winner leading the basketball program.
Yeah, they call it the City of Champions, and Tarleton fans, I think we've got a champion in our new head coach, Billy Gillispie, and I know I've taken probably more time than you wanted to spend with me, and if we weren't going through this pandemic, I'd shake your hand, Coach. I appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck here at Tarleton.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
That's the head men's basketball coach at Tarleton, Billy Gillispie. Casey Hogan for the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers.
Coming together makes us stronger, and Ford is built to lend a hand. Contact your Ford dealer, an essential part of your community, to find out more about home delivery and other vehicle service options. After all, you have a lot to take care of. Let us help take care of you. Find out more at Ford.com. For a limited time, get a new Ford with 0 for 84 months, plus 3 months deferred payments. Contact your best in Texas Ford dealer for more details.